Minute maximum, and
It's okay. My name is Dan Mills, and I'm from Muskegon County. And a couple of my friends and I, we drove up here tonight to talk about something I'm sure you've heard of before. It's the hydraulic fracturing or fracking. And it's occurring, I know it has occurred closer to your home than mine. We do have plans in Ravenna Township, Muskegon County, to do the first fracking well there. But I understand that you've already had one here in Oceana County at the Riley well, right? And so I don't want to be wasting your time telling you stuff you already know. I do want to let you know that we have petitions here. About the only chance it seems like that the citizens have against the oil industry in Michigan to protect our water resources is through the statewide ballot initiative. It seems like that we're powerless on a county level or a township level to do much of anything other than just to, annoy the industry. But on the statewide ballot, we actually stand a chance to getting something done significant. And the real danger becomes evident when you realize the extent of the Halliburton loophole, federal loophole, exempts the oil industry from all accountability. And so they can have chemical spills, they don't have to tell anybody. They can have wellhead leaks around the wellhead and don't have to tell anybody. Dangerous fumes, hydrogen sulfide, don't have to account to anybody over that. And so the Halliburton loophole, just exempting the oil industry from all accountability like that is enough for me to sit up and take notice. The other thing that really got my attention is when I learned that the DEQ, the Environmental Quality Department in Michigan, is funded now by the oil industry. It used to be that the taxpayers paid for that service, and the service was to protect our environment. Back in 2008, the DEQ made statements that they were hamstrung, they couldn't afford to do their jobs because of the funding. They were out of money. And so what the state did was they switched over to what they call a fees-based system now. And so the DEQ is supported, they pay for their staff and their geologists and stuff like that through fees that they assess the oil industry. And so it sounds like, well, hey, good, you're making the oil industry pay for what the costs are. And that makes sense in one regard, but in the other regard, you understand that the people who are the high-ups in the DEQ realize that if they don't play ball with the oil industry, that they won't have the staff and they won't have the funds. And so it's a real symbiotic kind of a thing, and it's not to the public's interest. Another thing that I learned that's really distressing is the state is now, the DEQ, their number one mandate is to maximize oil production in Michigan. The DEQ's number one priority comes above everything else that they do, and they do a lot of beautiful, good things they have for a long time. But now, these days, everything's changed. These days, their number one priority, their number one mandate is to maximize oil production in the state of Michigan. So there's no accountability. The oil industry is in charge. Now, there's always been money in politics, but there's nothing like global money, and the extent of that global money, oil money, there's nothing like that. So that's got me concerned. Anyway, thanks for letting me spend a
I
little
was
time.
going to say, boy, you got your talk going. So
Okay,
thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
I'm going to suggest, you made a comment about petitions, to be no signing of petitions at the township board meeting.
Yep.
If you want to get people to sign a petition, you'll have to catch them outside.
That'll be fine. Thanks.
Okay.
Matt Crean, I talked to you just this afternoon about coming.
Are each of you going to speak for 3 minutes?
It'll be 3 minutes, but we all have a different twist on this. What I get into is the historic aspects of fracking. There's two types of fracking. Vertical is where they shoot the well straight down. That's not a problem because that only uses it goes about a half a mile deep, uses about 50,000 gallons of water. It's the horizontal fracking. They go about 2 miles deep. They use up to 21 million gallons of water. The first horizontal fracking well in Michigan was constructed in Muskegon County in 2010. They didn't get what they wanted, so they closed it down. Now, we were told tonight, in fact, just in the last half hour, that the well they have running in Golden Township has apparently been shut down, or it's going to be shut down because they're not getting the oil out of it they thought. So that's good news. Bad news is that while it was here, there were people in the area that had to go to hospitals to get, because something was the matter with them because they were breathing fumes in the area. They said they'd never smelled anything like that before. The other piece of bad news is that we were told tonight at the Hart Township meeting that another one of these fracking wells is going to go in on Gordon Merton's property in Hart Township. So I thought that one of them, if they realized it wasn't going to work, they'd get rid of it and and not have another one, but now we're gonna get another one coming in here. So this is dangerous because once the water's trashed, that's it. You don't get, this is something you don't get to clean up. There's a lot of things you can clean up, but this isn't one of them. And this is an agricultural county. It's tourist in the summertime, but otherwise it's agricultural. If you don't have water to grow crops, you're out of business here. So this is, and for me, I take this, in this township, I take this very, very personally because I own property here. And this is too nice a township to go ahead and get it screwed up with a fracking well. Now hopefully you won't get one in this township because you're too small. But there's other townships around, Golden, Hart, they're going to get them. They've already got them. And it's like what happens there, it's not going to stay there. It's going to be a regional damage. They've got one plan to where they're going to, north of Silver Lake, they're going to shoot the pipe right out into Lake Michigan. That really scares me. So this is something that we need to bring this to your attention. We need to bring it to the community's attention and say, okay, look, everybody's got to get tuned in on this, and what can we do to fight it? What can we do to stop it? We need oil production. We need safe oil production. This is not safe oil production. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Ask where you're from.
I'm from Muskegon.
As am I. I am also from Muskegon, and I will make this quick. This is for you, the citizens as well as City Council. Please hear this out, okay?
Your name.
My name is Matthew DePalma, and I'm from Muskegon. This is not deforestation, which a forest can be regrown. This is not like oil drilling, which is questionably hazardous. This with the process of hydraulic fracturing is completely irreversible, okay? The hundreds, sometimes thousands of gallons that go into the ground in this process are unusable completely after it is finished. The ground cannot sustain life. Nothing grows, nothing lives. The land, in fact, is so worthless, insurance companies don't even want it. When a land is uninsurable, you know it's worthless, okay? And this is spreading. It is going from place to place to place, making a living by any means necessary, all kinds of dirty politics, over making dead land for something that is not sustainable. This is more about respecting the planet that you live on. This is not tree hugger stuff. This is not hippie stuff. This is not something that is ethical in any way. This is something that is strictly driven by greed. And 2 miles is actually worse. If you value your water table, if you value your resources, if you value this place that you live, this is something that even if you can't stop it, make it harder for them. Okay? Make it harder for them. This is not in your best interest. And I'm not one to tell you what's in your best interest, but if you just look at the science, look at the facts, and you'll see that this is not something that should be allowed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Chuck, I'd like to comment.
This is not a public forum, I'm
No,
sorry,
no,
David,
I
but
would like to speak to this.
it's,
I'd like
we're
to-
not gonna have interaction between,
I'm not gonna interact with them, I'm just gonna tell you
I won't
one
say
thing. There's a good HBO movie on right now about this particular problem. It covers all the problems in Pennsylvania that they've gone through, and Paula can tell you about it. This stuff, I agree with these guys 100%. This has got to be stopped.
Okay.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I have a second question.
We're not gonna get into a public forum.
No, I
If you want to discuss something else other
I
than
have a
this.
question pursuant to your board